one of my sisters had another one there too.
I couldn't come. I want Tina to go too.
Yeah, they should run that.
How are you? Your call, boss man. He's selling Christmas trees out the back of the trailer. Is that a real thing out there? Yeah.
I'd like to call this evening's meeting of the Greer Planning Commission to order. I want to thank you for being here in attendance tonight on this cold and dark evening. I trust everyone has had a chance to look at our agenda tonight. Is there going to be anybody on the board that will need to recuse themselves? If so, I need to fill out a recusal form at the beginning of that piece of business and step down from the podium. Minutes from our last meeting.
Move to approve?
Second,
We have a motion and a second.
Ms. Jones?
yes.
Mr. Lavender?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Holland?
Yes. All right, at this time, we will move on to our public forum. We do have one item of old business that may be discussed during the public forum. Is there anyone in the audience that is here to speak on RZ 22-23 during the public forum? Ashley, do you have anybody signed up for that?
I do not. The applicant is here, but he can do that during old business if that's okay with you.
And also, you've got the planning calendar, planning commission calendar approval for 2023 under the public forum also. So we will be adopting our calendar for 2023, our meeting calendar. Is there anyone that would like to speak for or against that during this time at the public forum? All right, seeing none, we will close the public forum portion of the meeting, and we will move forward to the public hearing portion. During this time, we will open and close the public hearing for each of the requests that are before us tonight. Staff will give us a brief synopsis of the piece of business, and then after that, we will have the applicant come up and give us a brief synopsis of what they're planning to do. If you would like to speak on one of these pieces of business, we'll ask you to come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. We are being recorded, audio and video, and we will limit comments to 3 minutes just to keep the meeting moving along. All right. This time we will move for the, you gave me the same sheet twice. AN 22-24.
All right, the first case tonight is AN 22-24. The applicant is the Divine Group, and the address is East Gap Creek Road. The parcel ID numbers for the record are 0536 0101 04100 and 0631 0401 01708. The property is currently unzoned and within Greenville County. The request is to annex and zone to DRD Design Review District. This is an aerial map of the two subject parcels. The parcels are currently unzoned and are adjacent to RS, residential suburban zoning, which has the green colored overlay. The two parcels are adjacent to the future land use designation of suburban neighborhood, shown in yellow. Here is a photo of the site as it exists today. Here is the proposed site plan showing 90 single-family attached dwellings. From the statement of intent, the proposed use is up to 90 single-family attached dwellings with a density of 3.7 units per acre. They are proposing at least 14.1 acres of open space area. A residential buffer would be installed where the property is adjacent to residential uses. Exterior sidewalks would be located along East Gap Creek Road. The stormwater management ponds may be dry or wet depending on water sources determined in design phase. Passive common areas will consist of green spaces and natural areas with proposed amenities on site of a fire pit and dog park, but could include other amenity uses in the future. For the setbacks, there's a 20-foot minimum setback from all internal road right-of-way, a 0-foot setback from internal townhome units, a 5-foot minimum setback from external townhome units, 25-foot minimum setback from exterior property lines, and a 30-foot minimum setback from East Gap Creek Road right-of-way. For building materials, the square footage per home would be a maximum of 1,500 square feet, and the materials themselves would consist of hardy board, shake siding, board and batten, brick, and/or stone. Exterior building materials will have a minimum combination of 2 of the listed. And that concludes staff's comments.
All right, thank you. Do we have a representative from the Divine Group with us tonight?
Yes.
And we'll come up here and
Good evening. My name is Chad Carson at 22 Garlington Road on behalf of the Divine Group. So we've got a proposed 90-unit townhome development right adjacent to Greer Middle and Greer High. Our goal here, after talking to staff and kind of going back and forth and revisiting it, is to really bring a product that not only complements the East Gap Creek corridor as well as the school. So we've got some connectability with the sidewalk, looking at the topography to see if we can do some connectability inside the development as well that connects to the school. But relatively straightforward. Try to put some amenities in there, working with Duke Power to see if they're willing to get rid of the easement going through it. Doesn't look like we'll be granted that, so we're just going to get creative at this point. But that's kind of where we stand.
all right, thank you, sir.
Sir.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against AN 22-24? All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing for AN 22-24 and move to AN 22-25.
Okay, the next case is AN 22-25. The applicant is the City of Greer, and the subject property is 137 Rogers Circle. For the record, the parcel ID is 0528-0301-02001. The property is currently unzoned and within Greenville County. The request is to annex and zone to OD Office District. This is an aerial of the subject property, an existing fire station that will continue to service the City of Greer. The property is adjacent to DRD zoning, which is the gold overlay color. The adjacent future land use designation is mixed employment. And here is an image of the existing site, which will not be changing in use. That concludes this case.
All right, Fire Chief's not here. Deputy Fire Chief Holzheimer's not here.
Y'all have got me.
Okay. I'll call him later. So, anything strange about that one?
No, it's just the city purchased the property and took over that fire station.
Right.
So it's our policy to annex city assets.
Right.
So the next few cases are several city annexation cleanups.
All right. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against AN 22-25? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing for AN 22-25, and we'll open the public hearing for AN 22-26.
Okay, the applicant for this case is the City of Greer, and the address is Country Club Road. Parcel ID number for the record is 0536-0101-05700. The property is currently unzoned and in Greenville County. The request is to annex and zone to R20 Residential District. Here is an aerial map showing the subject property. The property is adjacent to both R75, which is single-family residential zoning, shown in the gold color, and R20 single-family residential zoning shown in the light green to the right. The adjacent future land use designation is suburban neighborhood. Here is an image of the existing site, and that concludes this case for staff.
All right. And
Again, this is just a cleanup. It should have been brought forward with the rest of the golf course property and somehow was left out. So just doing some cleanup.
all right. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against AN 22-26? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing for AN 22-26, and we'll open the public hearing for AN 22-27.
All right, the applicant is the city of Greer, and the address is Palmetto Drive. Parcel ID number is 9-02-06-024.00. The property is currently unzoned and within Greenville County. The request is to annex and zone to R20 residential district. Here's an aerial of the subject property. The parcel is adjacent to R20 single-family residential district zoning. The adjacent future land use designation is suburban neighborhood. And here is an image of the site. The parcel is already owned by the city of Greer and will remain undeveloped. There are easements on the site that provide water and sewer access to the golf course.
All right. And again,
I do not have anything to add, but happy to answer any questions during new business.
I had 2 phone calls on this one.
Okay.
All right, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against AN 22-27? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing for AN 22-27, and we'll open the public hearing for RZ 22-26.
All right, the applicant for this case is Gray Engineering, and the address is Wildwood Drive. Parcel ID numbers are G01600010070, G01600100800, and G01600100900. The existing zoning is R5 Garden Court or Patio House, and the request is to rezone to DRD Design Review District. Here's an aerial image of the 3 parcels. The current zoning map shows the existing R5 zoning in green, and the parcel is adjacent to C3 Highway Commercial, shown in pink, and RM1 multifamily residential zoning, shown in light beige. The future land use designation is traditional neighborhood. Here is an image of the existing site. The proposed site plan shows 6 townhome units. From the statement of intent, the density will not exceed 8 lots or units per acre. The proposed development will include approximately 0.29 acres of common area. A 6-foot wooden shadow box fence would be constructed along the eastern and northern property lines. A centralized location for clustered mailboxes would be provided. Common grounds, including open space and community areas, would be owned and maintained by the HOA. For the setbacks, there'd be a 50-foot minimum setback along Highway 14, 20-foot minimum along Wildwood Drive, and 10-foot minimum setback from exterior property lines. For building materials, they may consist of fiber cement siding or vinyl, together with vinyl and/or shake trim, and stone or brick accents for all buildings. That concludes staff's presentation for this case.
Thank you. Do we have a representative from Gray Engineering?
Good evening. My name is Josh Garrison with Gray, and as you can see on the site, we are projecting.
Your address, please.
Oh, my address, 132 Pilgrim Drive, Greenville. As you can see on the site, we're going to do 6 townhomes on this area. This site was actually rezoned by our client prior to them coming to us, so you may have seen this previously. They miscalculated what they were rezoning once they met with us. After speaking with Brandon when he was here and Ashley, it was determined DRD would be the best route for us to go with this. This site does face Highway 14. If you go back to the area or the existing site picture on there, you can see the property does drop from 14. So the road that is proposed is a private road that will actually run along the back side of these townhouses. The townhouses will face 14 with the garage and the driveway in the back. We are going to tie into the existing sidewalk that's on Highway 14 right there to go into each of the porches of the patio homes. So there will be connectivity there as well with that. So it is a 0.81 acre site, so there's not a lot of room for the common area, but we were able to get almost 0.3 acres in there with that as well on that site. So as you can see, we do have an existing or a proposed stormwater detention area as well with that site, and the mailbox is located between 3 and 4. The plan is for these to be subdivided, not rented, so they will be purchased after completion. And yep, I believe that's it. We'll have a fence along the existing property lines as well, like we said, on the eastern and the northern side of that property. There is an existing house in that middle parcel. Obviously, that house will be torn down as well with construction. So,
Okay, thanks, sir. Anyone in the audience here to speak for or against RZ 22-26? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing for RZ 22-26, and we'll open the public hearing for RZ 22-27.
Okay, the applicant for this case is Chandler at Memorial Holdings LLC, and the address is Chandler Drive. Parcel ID number is G019-000-102201. The existing zoning is C3 Highway Commercial, and the request is to rezone to RM2 Multifamily Residential. Here's an aerial image of the property. The current zoning map shows C3 Highway Commercial in pink, and the parcel is adjacent to RM2 Multifamily Residential zoning in gold. The future land use designation is Suburban Commercial. Here's an image of the existing site, and that concludes staff's presentation.
All right, do we have anybody representing Chandler Holdings?
Hi there, Elisha Lerner on behalf of Chandler at Memorial Holdings, LLC. Address is 100 James Way, Easley. So as you can see, what we're planning to do is to build a multifamily apartment complex. We've been doing this for a number of years in the Easley area as well as the Asheville area. We're boutique developers, and our plan right now is to have 82 units. With the boutique property, we definitely prioritize setbacks and buffers. And so we're planning to make a boutique community that is self-sufficient and is able to complement the area.
All right, thanks, sir. Is there anyone here that would like to speak for or against RZ 22-27? All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing for RZ 22-27 and open the public hearing for RZ 22-28.
Okay, the applicant for this case is Duck Tran, and the address is 106 Highland Drive. The parcel ID number is G019-000-106502. The existing zoning is R12, single-family residential, and the request is to rezone to OD Office District. Here is an aerial image of the subject property. The current zoning map shows the existing R12 in light yellow, and the parcel is adjacent to OD Office District shown in purple. The future land use designation is Suburban Commercial, adjacent to traditional neighborhood. Here are existing images of the site. And here is an additional image. And that concludes this case presentation.
All right, thank you. Do we have the applicant here with us? All right. Since everyone is here, typically when the applicant is not present, we will, at a later time in this meeting, vote to table this if the applicant has not shown up. But during the public hearing, since folks are here, I will give you the opportunity now to speak if there's anyone here that would like to speak for or against RZ 22-28. All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing for RZ 22-28, and we'll open the public hearing for RZ 22-29.
Okay, the applicant for this case is Nathan Kaponen, and the address is 319 Marl Street. Parcel ID number is G015-000-100200. The existing zoning is R12 single-family residential, and the request is to rezone a small portion of the parcel to C3 Highway Commercial. Here is an aerial image showing the portion of the property. current zoning map shows R12 single-family residential in yellow and the adjacent C3 highway commercial zoning in pink. The future land use designation is suburban commercial and traditional neighborhood. Here is a survey of the site to further define the portion of the parcel requesting a rezoning. And here is an image of the existing site. This concludes this case presentation.
All right, thank you. Do we have the applicant present?
Good evening. My name is Nathan Copeland, 111 Lakeview Drive, Greer. And what we're doing with that property is we need a little bit more room because I'm representing Greg Shirk, and he's the one who owns both of these properties. And so the property that's adjoining, that's facing Wade Hampton, is we want to get the zoning to commercial for that, and so we can get our the right slope in there in order to get our proper parking and get enough room in order to put a building that's going to be facing Wade Hampton. And so that's the reason why, literally why we purchased 319 Morrow, was in order to get this extra little piece, that little sliver right there, so it makes the commercial piece a lot more accessible for what we need to do with that.
Okay. All right, thanks, sir.
Yep, thanks.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against RZ 22-29? All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing for RZ 22-29. That will conclude the public hearing business. We will now move on to old business. And we have one piece of business, which is RZ 22-23.
Okay, RZ 22-23 was held at the October 17th Planning Commission hearing. The applicant is True North Properties LLC, and the address is 101 Clayton Street. The parcel ID number for the record is G009-000-102300. The existing zoning is R12 single-family residential, and the request is to rezone to R5 garden court or patio house. Here's an aerial of the subject property. The current zoning is R12 single-family residential, shown in the light yellow overlay. The future land use designation is traditional neighborhood. And here is an image of the existing site. Again, the request is to rezone to R5 garden court or patio house. The existing surrounding uses are residential and zoned R12 in all directions. The comprehensive plan designation is traditional neighborhood, and staff recommends approval.
All right. Who's the applicant? Can we get the applicant to come back to the podium, please?
Yes, sir. So my name is Jay Munoz, and I live at 30 Bridgewater Drive in Greenville. The idea here is just to re-subdivide the existing lot and be able to allocate another lot next to 101, which potentially will be 103 or 105. Is very similar in size as far as square footage, is pretty much 7,000 square foot. Ashley, did you get a chance to get a copy from Mac on the survey showing the actual square footage on the plot?
Yes, I believe it was just a little over 7,000 each, so just shy of the R75, but 7,000 square foot lots each.
Mm-hmm. And it'll be a house similar to what the neighborhood is pretty much nowadays. It's just a single story, maybe a one-car garage if it allows it, but that's pretty much it. Something identical to what's on the neighborhood at the moment.
So you want to put one house?
Yes, sir. There is an existing home
One
on
existing.
101.
You're subdividing the lot.
But you're subdividing.
Correct. It'll be just another single-family home on that area lot.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Let's vote.
All right, Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lavender?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Holland?
Yes. Thank you. Contact staff for next steps.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, moving on. New business portion. Is that all? What was that?
I don't know. Sorry. Oh.
It fell off.
Oh.
All right. We'll now move on to the new business portion of the meeting. Our first piece of business will be AN 22-24.
Okay, AN 22-24 on East Gap Creek Road, request to annex and zone to DRD Design Review District. Again, here's the aerial of the site. The current zoning. The future land use is suburban neighborhood. And the existing site. The proposed site plan of 90 single-family attached dwellings. This project did go through Planning Advisory Committee, and comments have been incorporated into the site plan. For the statement of intent, the applicant was required to conduct a traffic impact analysis and will be required to install a westbound left turn lane into the site from East Gap Creek Road. When considering DRD zoning, staff should determine the following: that the spirit of the zoning district shall not be violated, that the proposed development will harmonize with existing developments, that the proposed development will be a desirable addition to the physical pattern of the neighborhood, that the design be such that additional traffic will not be a burden on existing streets, that no adverse environmental impacts will be created, and that the visual appearance will harmonize with the existing development, and that the architectural character blends with the surrounding area. Surrounding zonings are unzoned Greenville County and RS residential suburban. Surrounding land uses are residential, vacant, schools, and City of Greer open space. The request is compatible with surrounding land uses and future land use designations. Therefore, staff supports the request and recommends approval.
All right. Can we have the divine go back to the podium, please?
All right, basically, as told you just a second ago, proposed 9-unit townhome development. Happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
What was the comment you mentioned about the Duke Energy easement going away? Or?
Yes, sir. So we were hopeful that Duke Energy would abandon that power line easement. It doesn't look like they will. They're not currently using it, but there's a line there. They said that they reserve the right to use it in the future. So that was a path we were going down to hopefully get some more area in there. Now we may be able to put something under those lines, possibly. That's the route we're going at this point.
And you also said you had created amenities that you was thinking of?
Well, so that would help us get a little more open space if we can use it underneath the power easement. Maybe something like a dog park or a gazebo or something like that. We didn't want to paint ourselves into a corner because I don't know if we'll be able to get that open space just yet. And with the topography of the site, it kind of rolls down a little bit, so that's why we've got them stacked. So we are hopeful to put some more amenities on there. But again, that's a big part of where we would like to put them if we can.
Yeah. So they have committed to active amenities in the rear of the site. There is space for the fire pit and dog park. They were just hoping to add even more active amenities. But regardless, with the power easement, it will remain either undisturbed or green space.
The bottom end of this property, is that the same piece of property that came before us about a year or so ago, and it butts up to 14?
So this is only a portion of that was 5 or 6 parcels total.
Right.
And so the piece that does abut 14 is not part of this project. This is only 2 parcels of that original 6. They have moved forward with, they abandoned that annexation and they are developing within the county. And so, but this does abut city property, and Mr. Carson has already contacted Ann Cunningham in our Parks and Recreation Department to discuss potential connectivity to planned city trails. So that is a future possibility.
So the other portions of this original property from a year or so ago?
Yes, those are remaining in the county, and they've been subdivided into pretty small flag lots.
So why was
Yeah.
that abandoned for annexation?
I'm not 100%
We
certain.
approved that, didn't we?
You did. They went to,
Council.
they went to first reading, and then they went to planning commission, and then they were completing due diligence and site plans, and ultimately decided not to pursue the project.
Because a lot of that area is swampy anyway, isn't it?
The rear, yeah, the back is floodplain. I know there were some issues with grade of the slope of the road entering the site, which Mr. Carson and his engineers are also aware of. But as far as anything else, I'm not certain. They didn't give us a lot of detail why, but it has been, again, subdivided into those flag lots and kind of narrow lots, about 6. And this is the piece that kind of remains from that group that abandoned that project. Yep. And it was a mix of single-family and townhome. But again, it was a much larger area. And again, did go all the way to the piece that fronts 14 as well. So that's not included in this project.
So you got 90 units. How many parking spots do we have?
Well, sir, we hadn't got a whole lot of extra parking in there just because we're planning to have
None
it.
extra.
I don't see any.
None showing, no, sir. Again,
I mean,
Yeah.
0.
sure. So our thoughts were to put it in the driveway in the garage.
Driveway and a garage, so.
Yes, sir.
And that you're telling me there's a spot past the sidewalk deep enough for one car?
I'm sorry, ask that one more time. Past the
We
sidewalk?
got a sidewalk.
Yes, sir.
Well, we gotta have room from the sidewalk to the townhome.
Got you.
It says a 20-foot setback. So that should give you, right?
Okay.
That'll give you enough room for a small car.
Okay. So we
How
got-
wide are the units?
24.
24?
Yes,
So
sir.
are they double garages downstairs?
Yes, sir. 24 by 50.
So they're too
yeah.
wide, so the driveways are double wide.
Yes, sir.
So it'll be 2 in and 2 out.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
So a 4 stack for
Yeah.
clarification. All right.
Now, to your point, we are trying to actively see if we could put more parking in there because it's always just, sometimes it's easier to put in there than not. And again, not to harp on it, but the topography, we're kind of having to stack it like this so we can't go down on the spine road. But we'll certainly look and see if there's any additional space we can put it.
I'm not buying one, but I'd trade dog park and a fire pit for some extra spots. If I was buying one.
Any further questions for the applicant?
So I guess this is a pump station.
It is, yes, sir.
The power easement, those are towers. There are no active lines on the towers?
No active lines, no,
That's what
sir.
Luke said. Okay, so there's just got a guy wire between the towers?
Yes, sir, yeah. And as far as utilities, there is already an easement from the school district. Well, City of Greer, I guess, that's already in place.
I remember that from before also. All right, any further questions for the applicant or staff? Do we have a recommendation?
Move to approve.
We have a motion,
Second.
motion and a second. Let's vote.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lavender?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Holland?
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks so
Contact
much.
staff for next steps.
Yes, sir.
All right, we will now open the new business portion of the meeting for AN 22-25.
Okay, the address is 137 Rogers Circle, and the request is to annex and zone to OD Office District. The aerial of the property, adjacent to DRD Design Review District zoning, adjacent to a mixed employment future land use designation, the existing fire station, surrounding uses are a manufacturing, daycare center, and residential. The request is compatible with surrounding land uses and future land use designations. Therefore, staff supports the request and recommends approval.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right,
Ms.
let's vote.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lavender?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Holland?
Yes. All right, we will now open the new business portion of the meeting for AN 22-26.
Parcel is located on Country Club Road, and request is to annex and zone to R20 Residential District. The request is compatible with surrounding land uses and future land use designations. Therefore, staff supports the request and recommends approval.
Motion to approve.
Second,
We have a motion and a second.
Ms. Jones?
yes.
Mr. Lavender?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Holland?
Yes. All right, we'll now open the new business portion of the meeting for AN 22-27.
Parcel is located on Palmetto Drive, and the request is to annex and zone to R20 Residential District. Here's the aerial. Here's the existing site. Parcel will remain undeveloped and only provides easements for the golf course. The request is compatible with surrounding land use and future land use designations. Therefore, staff supports the request and recommends approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second, let's vote.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lavender?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Holland?
Yes. All right, we will now open the new business portion of the meeting for RZ 22-26.
Okay, the three parcels are located on Wildwood Drive, and the request is to rezone to DRD Design Review District. Again, here is an aerial image of the three parcels. The existing zoning R5, future land use designation of traditional neighborhood in the existing site. Again, here's the proposed site plan with 6 townhome units. The statement of intent. When considering DRD zoning, staff should determine the following items previously read into the record. Surrounding land uses are residential and commercial dentistry. The request is compatible with surrounding land uses and future land use designations. Therefore, staff supports the request and recommends approval.
All right, can we have the applicant?
What was the original zoning that we approved a while back?
I'm not sure what it was before they rezoned it. They rezoned it to R5, but I'm not sure prior to that what they rezoned it from.
It was RM1, like the surrounding. And then, yeah, it
We
was,
rezoned it. a
you
year
rezoned
ago.
it, yes, to R5. Yes, from RM1 to R5 for smaller lots, and then,
And the lots aren't having frontage on 14 at all. All the frontage comes off that back road, that alley road.
oh,
Yeah.
access, you mean?
Well,
Frontage,
The property line associated with each unit doesn't touch the right-of-way line for 14.
Correct. That was one thing we were going to wait to hear with you guys with our initial site plan. This was our initial draw up with that, but we were just going to wait with that. But you are correct. The access comes from the back of that site. These are going to be 2 stories. That site does drop significantly, but we can extend those property lines all the way to that 14 frontage.
So the way you've got it proposed right now is that you've got 6 floating lots surrounded by an HOA property.
Yeah.
Right, the open space with the sidewalks and that.
And is that a private road, or is that with a right-of-way? I guess Road A, is that
It's,
technically have a right-of-way attached to it?
the way we viewed it has been more of an access drive, but that was something as well that Ashley and I have talked about.
I would think, wouldn't we need to have frontage one way or the
Yeah,
other?
this has been the pack.
it has. I think we imagine, I thought it was a private road, so it'll have to be named. The county will require them to name it, even if it's an alley,
standards for
but it'll
private
have to
road?
meet private road standards for the city.
What is the required right-of-way for a private road?
I believe it's just slightly smaller. I want to say it's 40 instead of 44, and then 20 for width instead of 22.
So that would probably change some stuff.
On the back, yeah.
Sure will.
You've got enough to get,
It'll be tight.
And then who's going to be responsible for like garbage pickup and, is that the city?
well, city, if it's, yeah, it's in the city already.
So, yeah, but
They
if
don't
you're
come
going to
down the-
access, if you're going to access it on a private road,
Does the city pick up on private?
I don't
Yeah,
believe
it's
so.
2 places.
They do pick up on the private roads?
Couple gated.
I think we'll have to determine that. Engineering will certainly comment.
I thought it was wrong when they did it, but they did.
They could also potentially bring it out to Highway 14, but I'm not certain about trash pickup. We'll have
The people
to,
that live across the street, they have frontage. They put their trash cans out on 14?
Yes.
I think they do.
Do they
Yes.
really?
They do.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
My question about the floating parcels would have been utilities, because I know CPW and other utilities won't provide service unless the lot has frontage.
Okay.
So was CPW not in on that conversation? Because that, I mean, that's.
They
that's a
were,
very
it might
stickler
just
on
be
that.
an oversight, and we'll need to bring those property lines
I mean,
to
is
the
there a
road.
problem with, I mean, obviously you reduce open space if you give them frontage, but will they still meet the required open space? Do you know? I mean, I don't know or was there any required open space with the DRB?
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think there is in the
Yeah.
DRD.
There's not, it's
not,
just
so-
setbacks.
Yeah, I mean, that was my only comment.
So,
is
yeah,
just
they'll need
If that's
to-
gonna be a private road, it needs to be, to meet the city specs. If not, just the frontage off of 14.
Okay.
Well, do we need to wait and get some more information before we make a recommendation to council?
I mean, I thought some of that stuff would have been worked out at PAC, but I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't sound like staff has the answer, and
I'd have to go back and
Yeah,
check my
we don't
notes,
have
but
the
it
answer
doesn't
either.
sound like the applicant is opposed to bringing the property line to
Yeah, I guess
Highway
as a
14.
concept, I
So,
think we're all right with it,
Yeah,
generally
I don't think he's
speaking.
gonna change.
I
He's not
think
gonna get
from
another
a-
building.
From a final site plan, there's some details that need to be worked out.
And
Right.
it's going for DRD, so we have the opportunity.
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
yeah, before the final development plan, they could certainly work out lot lines.
It's a better drawing. Remember that drawing a couple of weeks ago that we ended up approving because they saw a drawing a year before? This is much more detailed than that.
Right.
2-car garages,
Yes, sir.
2-car garages and enough room, because the dang sure ain't gonna be a spot anywhere else.
Right, there's a chance for 2 parallel spots. We actually played around with that a little bit the other day on the site plan that would be outside of units 5 and 6, where that road has kind of turned. But that would be it. If we were to add additional parking, I'm not sure where else we would be able to add any parking.
Based on your site plan, have you got the front of the building sitting on the setback off of Highway 14, or are they sitting there based on topography?
A little of both. Mostly that setback is that 50-foot line right there, but it slopes pretty heavily for the first probably 20, 25 feet there. So there would be an opportunity possibly to move them a little closer, but that's right on that 50-foot setback line.
So that dash line is 50 feet off of the right-of-way line.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that line that goes through the pond and then comes back down.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like, you don't have much room.
That's what I'm
No, yeah.
getting really
Well, their
tight.
original plan was to try to
But I mean,
put
if
6
it's
homes,
DRD,
so yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you have the luxury of,
It doesn't have to be 50.
I mean, that's just something to help you with topography and maybe get some extra spot in the back and maybe, by the time you do your pond.
Because you've got to have the road, for a private road, you've got to have the road right around the back. So if you're going to have the right of way outside of the rear of the parcels, it's like things are going to have to move forward a little bit.
So with that, us being able to possibly change the setback, how close can we get with 14 being as busy as it is?
That's a
I
question.
mean, that's, yeah, I believe,
That's a staff, or probably a DOT question.
DRD doesn't have any.
No, I mean, DRD requires, 25 around the whole site. So, I mean, I think we would like to see a little more just because of how busy Highway 14 is, but staff certainly wouldn't be opposed to 35, 40, 45. So if Planning Commission wants to kind of weigh in on that, if they want to change their statement of intent for council, it'd be great if you guys would at least discuss that so I can let them know that Planning Commission blessed that
So I
change.
guess where you have the property line today, it's roughly probably about 25 feet or so off of the right-of-way.
Yes, sir.
I do think 20, 25 is pretty close. Just
would-
looking
I
at
would recommend
Lively,
less than 25.
just looking at Lively Victor, 25 is a little close. So
I'm not
I
sure
don't
the
think we.
topography would let us get much closer
Yeah.
than that either.
So-
You go back, you still got that road back there.
But that road now becomes potentially a 40-foot right-of-way, correct?
Either that or it could be an alley. They would just have to name it. There are some in O'Neill Village that are pretty narrow, that are just alleys.
But that's not their only access to their homes, though,
It is.
To the garage, I
to the garage,
guess. Not just front door.
not to the front.
Not to
door.
the front door, which
This
they
would
could be
be-
addressed off Highway
Well,
14,
Not
so,
really, because you
Not
can't
really.
park on Highway 14.
yeah.
Unless you wanna die.
So, and you can't park on the sidewalk on Highway 14.
No, so Greenville and Spartanburg did review it, and I believe their comment was that it would need to be named, so that they could address it.
So if it's a private road, then your HOA will take care of maintaining it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's in the statement of intent. The HOA will have to maintain that no matter what, whether
then-
it's a private alley or private
What
drive.
keeps, who's gonna enforce keeping people from parking on it when you have guests and things like that? And then you're tying up the road for emergency vehicles, because it's gonna be tight already.
I mean, if it blocks access to emergency vehicles, I believe I don't know if our police would actually, but
Not anytime soon.
fire can access it from Wildwood.
One end.
And 14
Or
is what they
standing out
said.
in 14, but
Right.
if you have a medical call, EMS probably ain't gonna wanna park on 14, they're gonna wanna park in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, what do you do with the houses across the street?
The houses across the street, they pull up in the driveway, or they park in the road. I mean, I've run calls in that section, and,
Yeah, fire-
fire truck sits in the street, but the ambulance pulls up in the driveway, typically, if we can get in. Okay.
We kind of talked about changing things, I don't know how. Change it, but I don't know if you need to talk to client too, so. I mean, conceptually, I think the idea is there. I think we all seem like we agree on that idea. All we're talking about is moving imaginary property lines that nobody can see except on paper, so.
So you're gonna take the house and the garage down?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you actually go on the map view and look down, you can see the slope of that pretty well. If you go down Wildwood, that house actually has a full basement,
Right.
when you look at it, yep. So it's pretty steep coming off of 14 right there.
All right, do we have any further questions for the applicant or for staff?
Well, I mean, and it could be consensus or just a kind of, or you could put it as part of the motion, but in general, is planning commission okay with them reducing the right-of-way as long as or the front setback, sorry? Is
Yeah,
there
I
a,
mean, I don't think we need to name a number, but I
Okay.
think, less than 50 could be considered. Obviously, we don't want to go down to 25.
No.
Well, the closer you get to 14, the less likely it's
But you don't
something to
have,
buy.
you
Yes.
probably don't even have 10 feet to play with right there on the front, based on topography. So it really just gonna have to come down, from a concept point of view, I think we agree something like this could work. I think it's just that when it comes back with the final development plan, whether if it's gonna be a private road, whether the right of way's there and acceptable setback standards are in place, I think at that point we'll make that decision. But
okay,
I think conceptually we're here.
All right.
I mean,
any dissension on that? Okay,
No, I.
Great.
okay with that too. Do we have a motion?
and Will just said it.
You want to officially make that your motion?
Conceptually, motion to approve.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, let's
all
vote.
right. Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lavender?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Holland?
Yes. All right, contact staff for the next steps.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, we'll now open the public hearing, new business portion of the meeting for RZ 22-27.
Okay, the parcel is located on Chandler Drive, and the request is to rezone to RM2 multifamily residential. Again, here's an aerial image of the parcel. The existing zoning C3 highway commercial in pink. Future land use designation is suburban commercial. and here is the existing site. The surrounding land uses are residential and assisted living facility. The request is compatible with surrounding land uses and future land use designations. Therefore, staff supports the request and recommends approval.
All right, and do we have the applicant?
How many acres is this piece?
.76.
Yes, sir.
You said
0.76.
84 units or 82 units?
Yeah,
So-
that's,
Talking about the
that,
Total.
Total.
yeah, it's attached to the larger piece that's already zoned
The
R2.
RM2, yeah.
Okay.
Because this is,
Yeah. We're going vertical. We're not going too vertical over here. Yeah.
so this piece of property also came to us a year and a half ago, and this little piece was gonna be like a step-down piece to tie the other piece that's further to the north.
That was a different project. That was-
I believe that was a
Probably-
different project.
This was a pretty complicated project to get under contract ultimately, but, that sounds like it was a different project. Right now, what we have planned is to have a building on that 0.76 acres. That's going to be about 12 units, and that's just going to be a comprehensive, rental project.
You done a traffic study?
We haven't done a traffic study yet, no.
I'll do it for you.
Don't try to take a left out of there.
Well, we can, yeah.
They will be required
Right.
to do one if it is
coming
rezoned and
up.
moves forward, just so planning commission knows.
Goodness. So you got 12 units on the piece to be rezoned, and what's that, 72 units on the other?
That's correct. That's correct. 74, 2 of the units are going to be a clubhouse. We're going to have some amenities. There's a pool as well. That's kind of encroaching onto that 0.76 acres. That's the plan currently.
Have y'all seen conceptually site plan or?
Conceptual, yes. But it would need to go for a special exception, and meet all the requirements of special exception for group development if it were to be rezoned and move forward.
So, apartment, condos,
These are rental apartments.
rental apartments.
Yeah.
All accessing from Chandler Road or anything?
All of the access right now is drawn from Chandler Road, but that's going to be subject to DOT and working with them and figuring out what the best access is.
It's gonna be a fun one.
A lot of traffic.
Well, it's just this one little parcel right now. The rest of it can go through whether this one comes in or not.
That's right.
It's already zoned.
When was that rezoned R2?
I'm not certain, I believe it's been that way.
It's been
For a
that way
while.
for a while.
For the, I'd say 90s or 2000s.
So rezoned it.
This was not, yeah, it was not a case that came forward.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Let's vote.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lavender?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Holland?
Yes. Contact staff for next step, please, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we'll now open the new business portion of the meeting for RZ 22-28.
Okay, the next case, RZ 22-28, the property address is 106 Highland Drive, and the request is to rezone to OD Office District.
And do we have the applicant present for RZ 22-28? All right, typically, when the applicant is not present to give us information, we table this particular request until the applicant can be here to answer questions. So,
Motion to table.
we have a motion and a second for table.
Sorry, who was second?
Ms. Jones
Okay,
is second.
thank you, Ms. Jones. All right, Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lavender?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Holland?
Yes. All right, we'll move on to a new business for RZ 22-29.
Okay, the property address is 319 Morrow Street. The request is to rezone a portion of the parcel to C3 Highway Commercial. Here's an aerial image of the portion of the parcel requesting the rezoning. Current zoning of R12 in light yellow. Future land use designation is suburban commercial and traditional neighborhood. Here is the survey to better show the portion. The existing site photo. The adjacent land uses are vacant, a commercial strip including a medical office, and residential. The request is compatible with the comprehensive plan, and since the commercial site is vacant, any development would be required to meet setbacks and screening requirements between residential and non-residential uses. Therefore, staff supports the request for C3 highway commercial zoning.
All right, can we have the applicant, please?
What we had, or what I had previously said is pretty much cut and dry. We just need a sliver of that residential property to get our proper setbacks and parking.
And you're going to be accessing this property from Morrow Street?
From Morrow, correct.
Because there won't be a curb cut on the way to Hampton, will there?
That's correct.
I mean, that would have to go through PAC if and when this did develop. I'm sure,
Because it's pretty steep.
yeah, I don't, based on driving out there, I don't think it would be possible.
When the house used to sit there, their driveway was off of Morrow, and I think it was grown up on the way to Hampton. I don't think.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
an existing kind of cut where
Right,
that
and there
asphalt
already is a curb
drive.
cut to access the commercial piece that is coming off of Morrow. And that's exactly what we'd do. We wouldn't come off of Wade Hampton with that. We just have a berm on Wade Hampton, and I believe the way our proposed, which hasn't been proposed to you all yet, but we'll have a detention pond right there in the front of, on the commercial side.
So still right at, it's still less than 0.6 of an acre, all said and done.
Yes.
Tight.
Is that parcel B the total acreage? I think it's got.
Parcel B's,
I think parcel B still needs to be combined with the .08, so it will just be over, it'll be .62 acres, it looks like, combined. I think the survey is really showing 3 parcels there. It's showing parcel A, the remainder of the house, and parcel B, and then a portion of the remainder of parcel A to be combined with.
Okay, yeah.
That's the way I'm looking at it.
Yep.
So it will be about .62 acres.
Yeah, if we add that to it, that's
Right,
correct.
the existing property on Wade Hampton is .54 acres.
Point,
And
that is exactly right, yeah,
You're adding 800ths of an acre to it.
correct, yeah, then it would be, yeah. Yep.
All right. Motion to approve.
Second.
all right, we have a motion and a second, let's vote.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lavender?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Holland?
Yes. All right, contact staff for next steps.
Very good, thank you.
Sorry to keep you here so late.
That's all right. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, that will conclude the new business portion of the meeting. We will now move on to the 2023 calendar.
Okay, here are the proposed meeting dates.
So we are going to add a December date again this year. Do we have anything coming up for December this year?
Right now we have a few cases, but not like the 10 to 12 the last 3 months. We do have a final development plan, and a couple of annexations that our deadline isn't until tomorrow, or, sorry, Wednesday, so I'm expecting several cases.
So if we're going to meet next month, and council will not meet the following week in December. Because
Correct.
that'll be
Most
the week of
things,
Christmas.
yeah, most things will go in January.
And that'll be the
So-
same for next year too, the way the Christmas will fall. Because it's Sunday this year, next year it'll be Monday or Tuesday, unless it's a leap year, I guess. Right?
Next
So,
year's Monday.
Next year's Monday.
18th is the Monday before that.
So we'll actually be probably the last business next year and this year as well, officially, and then the council will meet after we meet.
Correct.
But that'll still put everybody a month ahead if we didn't,
It'll at least put them 2 weeks for the ones that would potentially be able to go ahead and have first reading at the January 10th.
right. But if we didn't meet
So-
in December, it would cause everybody to be February before their business could be taken care of.
Correct.
Okay. Because then we also run into the Martin Luther King holiday in January.
Yeah, and last
So
year,
we need-
oddly, Planning Commission did not meet in January this year. This
Is that because we
past
just didn't have any
January, it
agenda?
was very strange the way it worked out, so
Okay.
it may work out that way again, I'm not certain. I mean, if Planning Commission doesn't want to meet, we could certainly consider changing it to earlier or not meeting in December again.
I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I'm okay with throwing that date out there because we can always change it next year.
Trust me.
If they kill us next November, then we can say, well, can we move the December meeting next year to? Yeah, so, okay. So do we have a motion, recommendation,
So moved.
second?
Second.
Motion and second, let's vote.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lavender?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Holland?
Yes. All right, other business.
I would like to introduce you all to Heather Stahl. She is our new planner. She started last Wednesday. So we're really excited to have her on board. She previously practiced in Florida, but however, was most recently up in Buffalo, right?
In Buffalo.
So she's enjoying the South Carolina
In
winter.
Buffalo? Welcome.
So she's really happy to be here compared to there this week.
So have you
we're-
heard from your husband? Can he get out of the house?
No, he's here.
Okay, okay. Well, welcome.
So.
Yeah. We have a lot of fun sometimes. And sometimes we
So,
don't.
yeah, we're excited to have her on board. So now planning and zoning will be fully staffed and move forward with UDO and all sorts of exciting work in 2023. We do have the board appreciation lunch next Thursday, December 1st. We would love for you to join us. So if you haven't already, please RSVP to Delora Johnson. Her email is in the invite. And then, my monthly plea for training. We did have someone from the Council of Governments contact us about our members' training, so they are actually checking. So we would love to get y'all scheduled before the end of the year if possible.
I don't see it happening.
And that's all that I have.
I started out in Hendersonville this morning at 6 a.m. and I was on the way home after that, but I had to go to Rock Hill first.
Oh,
So, crazy.
well, we very much appreciate all of y'all's time.
I'd like to recognize our school district board member, Pat Sudduth. He's in attendance with his wife tonight, and we appreciate y'all being here. I should have done that at the beginning, sir, and I did not. Pat was my principal at Greer in 1981.
Well, it was
You didn't have to call them out like that.
before 1981.
Yeah. So, yeah. You've been in business a long time, haven't you, sir? 57 years. And he's only 65.
Amazing how that works.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion for adjournment. So moved. We adjourned.
I know, I feel terrible.
I know.
No, but
I don't know.
I guess not quite, but yeah. Especially with the, you know, like, you think they'd wanna.
Yeah, let me go turn off the recording.
Good to meet you. Good to have you. Email us that calendar, okay?
Yes, will do.
I know we'll be here in July, 'cause I'm supposed to be in Alaska.
Oh, how fun. Oh, my gosh.
You want to book the conference room?
Yeah.
Happy
Thank
Thanksgiving.
you. Glad to see y'all at Full Street.
Yeah, we're excited.
You hear me, Ashley?
See you Thursday.
Have a good night.
Yeah, we're going to book the conference room, Will.
Not on Thanksgiving. We're there. I have a question. That one lot, this is how the